Hello everyone, this is Alvaro Cortez Jr., aka Lance Danger, for another day of VEDA, day 23 if I'm not mistaken, and let's talk about the devil. um, we had watched Late Night with the Devil, and it was interesting. It was an interesting experience watching this movie in the theater. There was like about 7 of us in the theater watching it. It was like an 11:30 at night screening. And if you're a fan of found footage, mockumentary style horror movies, you might like this one a lot, actually. You know, if you're into that style of movie like Blair Witch Project and the Paranormal Activity franchise, it was actually surprisingly fun, especially with that crowd that was in that theater that night. If you haven't watched it, or if you don't know about it, it's about this late night talk show host in the late 70s and early 80s that's in a ratings war with Johnny Carson, who is considered to be like the king of late night talk shows. Like, for a long time, no one could touch him, and even like his heir apparent really kind of never reached the height of a Johnny Carson. Although there was a pretty good battle between David Letterman and Jay Leno. Of course, then there was the fiasco of Jay Leno and this redhead. I hate that I'm blanking out on his name right now. I kind of like him too, actually. Conan O'Brien. So it's pretty much a TV documentary based on this TV host, late night talk show host, that was embroiled in this ratings war with Johnny Carson. And it's kind of hard to like talk about plot points without giving away spoilers. Let's just say that the beginning of the run of his late night talk show, he was almost neck and neck with Johnny Carson, but he was never able to tie him or go ahead of him. And then the ratings started to decline. And after a tragic event happens in his life, the ratings bolster up again for his show, almost to the level of Carson. And then the show kind of starts taking this turn where it kind of turns into like, the best way I could describe it is an early a precursor to like the Jerry Springer show. It was just like shock jock moment, like shock jock TV, where people would fight on stage. There would be controversies, but the ratings started to falter because of that. And he decides that he's going to do on Halloween night, on the Halloween night episode, he is going to do this special episode that he's going to just like go balls to the wall all out for that episode and make it like the most controversial episode ever, and finally have this win over Johnny Carson, especially because his contract is about to be up and he's running the risk of not having a show anymore. So he's doing it for his crew as well as for himself. And he brings over this medium who can talk to spirits that are walking around and whatnot. And afterwards, he also brings a girl that was claimed to be possessed and part of a cult that's been in recovery, and the person that's been helping her recover emotionally and mentally is part of the show as well, that she's like introducing her to the public. And let's just say that shit goes down. It goes down pretty fast and furious. There's also another person in there that's like a friend of the host, that he usually comes on the show to be the person that debunks all the like supernatural and unexplained events and whatnot. and he's there. He's trying to debunk the guy that's a medium. He's trying to debunk the girl that claims was possessed and was part of a cult when she was a little girl. And things that people thought were stunts, like the lights randomly going off in the studio. The girl, they show a example of how she was possessed, that she still has a demon inside of her, and things go awry. What they really go awry. And again, I do not want to go into spoilers, but things go down fast, and in some moments actually really unexpected. Like it's a really good tense movie in that aspect that something is going to happen, because of course if you're a horror fan, you're kind of going to know where it's going, especially if you're a fan of these found footage mockumentary kind of terror. There's only really one way something can go sometimes, but they were very clever in throwing curveballs at you, and boy did they do that. And again, the ending, I don't want to spoil it. The ending pretty much kind of, like with all found footage mockumentary style horror movies, kind of leaves you hanging in a bit, like no real kind of resolution of how everything got solved in the end, but you get a pretty good idea with that type of ending how things probably did end after the fact. So very entertaining movie. It was very divisive. Like the people that were in the theater that night at the screening were very vocal, and it's funny because throughout most of the movie, with the jump scares that would happen, they would react to it and yelp and scream sometimes. And at the end of the movie, one person said, "This was just like watching a late night talk show. If I knew this movie was like this, I'd be at home in my jammies with my mama," which was pretty hilarious. And another two set of women that were friends were like, "Oh, I really hated this movie." And another guy that really loved the movie, he was like, "But what did you hate about it? It was great." And the two women were like, "But it just wasn't scary. It was just a late night talk show." And he's like, "Oh, but I heard you two screaming. Like, if it was just you alone watching that movie, would you actually watch that movie alone?" And the woman actually said, "Well, no." And he was like, "There it is." And he just walks away. And it was interesting because, again, it did remind me of the time of when Blair Witch Project came out. It was so divisive about the people that liked it and really hated it. I remember when I actually bought the VHS of Blair Witch Project, it was in a Kmart, and the teller looks at the VHS, looks at me, and she tells me, "It's the Blair Witch Project." I'm like, yes? And the teller is like, "Have you actually seen this movie?" And I'm like, yes. And she's like, "And you still want to buy this?" I'm like, "I'm here with money." And that's when the movie was brand new and had just come out on a home video. It was incredibly divisive at that time, and it was really groundbreaking because there wasn't really a movie like that before. Like, people actually thought it was a real event that happened, especially because of the early marketing of the movie. So that kind of like birthed the whole found footage genre. But yeah, if you like those type of movies like Blair Witch Project, the Paranormal Activity franchise, Late Night with the Devil is definitely a movie I think you should check out. If you absolutely hate those kind of movies, yes, steer clear of it. Maybe watch Immaculate or First Omen or something. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for listening and sharing my enjoyment of this movie, which is like one of the most fun movies I've seen this year so far. I hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you all tomorrow.